Materia Turo.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Memorable budgets, sir, there honestly aren't that many. Labor has sometimes created significant and politically enduring solutions to address the major challenges that we've faced as a nation. Budget 2001 was memorable for the creation of the New Zealand Super Fund to address the long-term need to pre-fund this looming public superannuation bill that we face as a nation as our population ages and as our baby boomers start retiring. Budget 2006 was memorable for the creation of KiwiSaver, another politically enduring solution to help address the country's saving crisis. Working for Families, announced in Budget 2004, stopped the rapid rise of inequality that New Zealand experienced after the national government, but didn't actually fix the dire rates of child poverty that were created by national in the early years. And so this national government is still yet to pass a truly memorable budget. For a memorable national budget, you'd really have to go back to Ruth Richardson, the mother of all budgets in '91, but of course that was memorable for all of the wrong reasons. Similarly noteworthy for all the wrong reasons was National's tax cut package in 2010, completely revised history of that from the Speaker just before me, which delivered tax cuts to the rich in the midst of a deep recession. Unlike KiwiSaver and the Super Fund, those short-term tax cuts simply won't endure past the next change of government. A memorable budget for National would be one that puts at the front and centre solutions to the biggest challenges that we are facing today, and those are climate change and inequality. A memorable budget for National would show the courage to believe that we can live better and fairer, free from the fear of each other and the threat of climate change that will turn our livelihoods upside down if we don't change direction. Budgets lie at the heart of why all MPs are here. We're elected to help address the issues, the very big issues that we all face, the ones that we don't have the resources on our own to address. We're elected on good faith to strive to work across political lines to find these enduring political solutions that will last long after we each leave this place. And on principle, we are elected here to protect the weak from the strong, those without the resources that they need to protect themselves. So what are the big issues of our time that we must address as elected representatives? There are many challenges we face, like creating good jobs that pay decent wages, like building warm, affordable housing, like providing the best education for our kids and even better health care, like cleaning up our polluted rivers and freeing our cities from the congestion and air pollution, like protecting the species that we love, kiwi, kōkako, Maui dolphins, kauri, from imminent and irreversible loss. But, sir, I say climate change and inequality are the two issues that stand above all these and are contained by them. Climate change and persistent inequality are the two issues that genuinely threaten to tear the very fabric of our community. We can, and we must, spend money on measures to turn around the risk of predation that Kiwi face on the mainland, but for what if the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem on which they depend, is destroyed by catastrophic climate change? Private companies, as we see, can provide temporary charity relief by funding milk in schools, but for what if we never address the long-term legacy of what it means to grow up in poverty? Educational underachievement, poor health, poor job prospects, the likelihood of time spent in prison and an early death. Because that is a consequence of long-term poverty in this country, is an early death. National have continued to downplay these issues. They have been slow to serve the wider interests of all New Zealanders, but very quick to serve those that keep them in power. Just 48 hours after the last election, John Key sat down with John Campbell on the tally and told us that he wanted to lead a government that will govern for all New Zealanders. He went on to say, "I want to leave the country in better shape than I found it. Just passing everything by the barest majorities isn't the right way to govern a country, and I certainly don't think that would deliver a potential fourth term in government," he said. In that spirit of non-partisan sentiment, I would like to invite National to consider working across the party lines to deliver at least one truly memorable budget this term. We can help them to deliver on their promise of future tax cuts to lower and middle income families, one that helps address rising inequality while securing our future long-term economic prosperity by protecting the environment from which all of our country's wealth derives. We can help the government. Yes, we can. We can help the government deliver their program of lower and middle income tax savings and lower debt by passing a carbon tax. A carbon tax can turn our climate crisis into an opportunity. A carbon tax can form the heart of a plan to protect our climate and leave New Zealand families better off. A carbon tax can ensure New Zealand shows leadership on climate change and delivers prosperity along the way. In the run-up to the last election, Sir, the Green Party announced a modest tax on carbon pollution, recycling all of the revenue raised from this carbon tax back to families and to business through a $2,000 income tax-free band and a 1% income company tax rate cut. There was no hysteria following the launch of our policy, except of course a little bit in this house from this side over here. This is because a tax cut is now widely considered to be smart, reasonable, non-partisan, a way to address climate change by putting an effective price on carbon. It makes sense to everyone to make polluters pay. So this was the promise of the emissions trading scheme, but the emissions trading scheme has not delivered. The emissions trading scheme is a tool that is neither transparent nor just. Practically speaking, it hasn't delivered the kinds of reductions in carbon emissions that we all know we need to make in order to make our climate safe. Emissions have gone up in New Zealand since the emissions trading scheme came into force, not down as was promised. Carbon polluters are not paying the true cost of the damage that they are doing to our environment. Independent economists at Burl, they analysed our proposal for a carbon tax and concluded that New Zealand families will be better off as a result of our proposed tax changes. Now, the Greens, we don't have the resources of government to deliver the best form of carbon tax possible, but we are willing to work with National and with other political parties to make this happen. We currently live in a world where the government is subsidising the world's biggest polluters, oil, gas and coal companies, to look for more fossil fuels while our kids go hungry to school, go home to crowded damp homes and get sick more often than they should and suffer serious illness as a result. Subsidising the pollution that's fuelling runaway climate change is not a smart way to run our economy or to secure our future prosperity. And similarly, doing nothing about rising inequality is neither smart nor just. We can have a country where polluters pay and where our children thrive. A carbon tax is a win-win plan to protect the climate and benefit New Zealand families. We can future-proof our economy as we transition to a low-carbon economy by building a significant tax cut for businesses into our plan. So this is our hope and our vision for this budget and for subsequent budgets this term. We are very optimistic, as you know, and we are certainly ready to play our part in realising this vision. And we are seeking genuine cross-party work on a true vision for this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tracy Martin.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on the Budget Policy Statement 2015.